And I call the honourable member for Fowler.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker, and thank you. And as we've just heard from the member for Newcastle, I think we're just so inundated with scam messages daily on our phones, on our emails, even on social media as well. You get messages such as click this link to track your parcel from pretending to be from Australia Post, or check your tax return status from a so-called ATO email that actually ends in gov.faithweb.com. So for those who are tech savvy, these scams are pretty obvious. We delete them, block them, and then move on, or also report them. But what about those who don't recognise the scam? A gentleman called my office recently after receiving one of these fake ATO messages. He wasn't fooled, but he was worried, not for himself, but for those who might fall for it. He told me, what about older Australians? What about those with limited English or people who aren't familiar with digital scams? They wouldn't know what to do. And he's right to be concerned. Deputy Speaker, my office has helped countless constituents who have been scammed through text messages, emails, and fake social media messages. Some have lost thousands, hundreds of thousands. Others have had their personal data stolen, leading to identity fraud and long-term financial distress. And let's be clear, these scams target everyday Australians. The pensioners who get fake Telstra call and hands over his or her bank details. The small business owner tricked into transferring their money to what looks like a supplier. These aren't just numbers. These are real people in our communities who are losing their savings, their security and their trust in our financial and digital systems. In 2023 alone, Australians lost $2.7 billion in scams. That's $2.7 billion that could have been used for mortgages, groceries, education or medical bills. That's why we need stronger protections, not just words, not just promises, but real action. The Scam Prevention Framework Bill 2024 is a good step forward. It places clear responsibilities on businesses, banks, telcos and digital platforms to detect, prevent and report scams. It introduces civil penalties up to $50 million for companies that fail to protect their customers. This is important because we know that private sector plays a huge role in preventing scams. When financial institutions fail to detect fraud, scammers win. When social media platforms fail to shut down fake accounts, scammers win. When telcos allow scam calls and messages to flood our phones, scammers win. This bill sends a clear message. It is no longer enough to say it's not our responsibility. Businesses must be part of the solution. But, Deputy Speaker, is this bill enough? No. Consumer education must be a priority. The best defence against scams is awareness. But right now, most scam prevention resources are in English, and that's simply not good enough. And I'm glad that the Scam Watch, and as the member for Newcastle said, there is a big education campaign being held to educate our community regarding the number of scams that are impacting them. In an area like Fowler, we have a diverse, multicultural community, many of whom speak a language other than English at home. Yet when they receive a scam message, where can they turn to? A simple government pamphlet like the Little Black Book of Scams from ACCC is a great step forward, and we're very grateful that working with ACCC, they have been able to provide my office with this little black book of scams in languages. And I have them available in Vietnamese language, in Chinese, as well as Arabic, the top 3 languages in my electorate of Fowler. So we definitely need multicultural education campaigns. We need easy-to-access materials. We need community workshops that teach people how to recognise, report and prevent scams. And I urge the Albanese Labor government to invest properly in outreach efforts, because education saves lives, and in this case, it saves bank accounts, savings and financial futures. Deputy Speaker, getting scammed is not just about losing money. It's about the mental, emotional and financial stress that follows, and it follows on not just months but years. Many victims, especially seniors and non-English speakers, don't know where to turn to. They feel embarrassed, ashamed and helpless. We need a dedicated scam victim support services, easier reporting processes so people don't have to jump through bureaucratic hoops, more funding for agencies like AFCA, the Australian Financial Complaint Authority, which helps Australians recover lost funds. My office has worked closely with AFCA and I thank them for the commitment, but I know that they need more resources to help more people. I support holding businesses accountable for scam prevention, but we must acknowledge that the challenges faced by small businesses, especially those already struggling with rising energy costs, increased insurance premiums, regulatory burdens. Many of our small businesses are already drowning in red tape. Now, with the push for net zero emissions, they're also dealing with green tape, more compliance costs, more paperwork, more hoops to jump through. If we expect them to invest in scam prevention, we must also ensure they have the resources to do so. That means clear guidelines on compliance, government support for cyber security upgrades, no unnecessarily regulatory burden that forces them to close their doors. We need a balanced approach, one that protects consumers without crushing small businesses. As we know, small businesses is the backbone of our economy. Deputy Speaker, why are scammers so successful in Australia? Because our Privacy Act is outdated. Scammers thrive because they can buy, steal and trade our data too easily. Reset Australia, a leading digital rights group, has warned that our privacy laws are too weak. So I ask the Anthony Albanese government, Labor government, when will we see real reforms to stop companies from selling our data? When will we strengthen privacy protections to keep Australians safe? We cannot fight scams effectively if our own laws make us vulnerable. Deputy Speaker, this bill is a step forward, but it must be more than just a box-ticking exercise. We need stronger education campaigns in multiple languages. I hear that we've got a scam campaign going on, which is fantastic. We need it in multiple languages. Better victim support services so people aren't left helpless. Again, I can speak to my multicultural community. We really need that victim support services to also be in languages. Real support for small businesses so they can protect their customers without going under. Again, for an area for my electorate of Fowler and many in Western Sydney, where lots of migrants, families run their small businesses, we really need to do an outreach program to ensure that they are also protected, and that way they can actually contribute to help us prevent scam. And urgent privacy law reforms to stop scammers at the source. We owe it to Australians to make real changes, not just more bureaucracy. Scam just don't steal money. They steal trust. They leave people fearful of technology, worried about security and disillusioned with the system. We must act now before more Australians lose their savings, their security and their confidence in our financial system. Deputy Speaker, let's not wait for another $1 billion to be stolen before we take real action. Let's fix this properly, because every Australian deserves to feel safe online. Thank you.